Hello, YouTube. It is Sunday evening, July the 13th, 2008. Um, I wanted to talk about some, I don't know, I get the sense that there's a lot of people. I was reading uh, some posts on the Ron Paul forums, and I've just seen some other people on YouTube and things. And seems like there's this attitude amongst a lot of Ron Paul supporters that are basically saying that you know, the presidential election doesn't really matter anymore, and we need to be in this for the long haul, and we need to look at long-term goals and things like that, which is all fine and good. But they seem to think that the convention, the Republican National Convention that's going to happen in St. Paul in September, is a lost cause, and that there is absolutely no chance that the convention will become a brokered convention, that McCain will not get the nomination, that Ron Paul will. I saw a couple posts on the Ron Paul forums today that said that that's a pipe dream and there's no chance. And I really strongly disagree with that. I mean, maybe I'm just naive and I don't understand how everything works. And believe me, I understand that there's the elite and there's the power brokers of the Republican National Party that want to put forward their guy. But the other thing is that the Republican National Party, when it comes down to it, they want to win. And there was an article that came out it didn't come out in the United States, but it came out in England, in the UK. Somebody posted it on the Ron Paul forums. I don't have the link with me, but if you go to Ron Paul forums, you'll find it there, I think under the grassroots topic. But in any case, there was an article, and this analyst basically suggested that there were a lot of rumors right now that the GOP was looking to drop McCain. Now, the article did not mention Ron Paul at all. It talked about maybe the GOP trying to look for someone like Colin Powell or Condoleezza Rice or someone like that, which I don't know how that would work since none of them have any delegates. But then again, maybe you don't need delegates. I don't know. But in any case, it suggested that the Republican Party is beginning to realize that McCain is behind in the polls. He's not competitive against Obama. The GOP base is not excited about McCain. Conservatives don't like him, which is a major block of the Republican voters, and the Republican establishment is really worried, and they're looking at possibly dropping McCain. Maybe McCain would drop out, citing health reasons. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but just the fact that someone's writing about it, not a Ron Paul supporter, but actually just a news commentator out of England, that someone's saying that is pretty significant. And I realized that lately, Drudge made a big deal, I think, on Friday, that the poll between Obama and McCain is now even. But, up until this point, Obama has had a huge margin of just victory over McCain. I mean, he just has a lot more people excited about him. And even with the poll numbers tied like they are, because I guess Obama's made some gaffes or whatever over the last week, it still seems that there's no way McCain can win against Obama. I mean, when you have 70 to 80% of the American population against the war, and Obama saying he's against the war and McCain says he's for it, there's just no way McCain can win. So you have people talking about this. You have these rumors going around that the GOP may drop McCain. There was a conference call that the delegates from Pennsylvania had with Ron and Carol Paul a couple weeks ago, and they basically asked them. They said, "Look, if we can get a majority of delegates from 5 states to nominate you from the floor of the convention, will you accept the nomination?" And Ron Paul said, "Yes, absolutely, but it would have to completely be driven by the supporters." So Ron Paul's still up and do it. There's delegates in Pennsylvania, Ron Paul's home state, that are trying to get things organized. As far as we know, Nevada is going to be sending a slate of Ron Paul delegates, a majority of Ron Paul delegates, to the convention, although that's a little tricky because there's also going to be supposedly a Republican national or state convention, official state convention, at the end of July that's also planning to send a slate. But just the fact that there's going to be 2 slates battling it out, and then the people in Minneapolis, St. Paul, are going to have to figure it out. There's going to be a brawl. I mean, there's going to be intense conflict going on. And one thing this article from England suggested was that the McCain nomination is not sure. They said while Obama is pretty much the the nominee. I mean, he's a shoo-in. No, Hillary's not going to challenge him. The same thing is not the case for McCain, and there's a lot up in the air. So then the other thing that I was thinking about is, I know that getting into conspiracy theories doesn't really help or anything, but the thing is that McCain had like virtually no support going into the primaries. I mean, his campaign was dead, and then all of a sudden he was winning primary after primary after primary, getting all this huge percentage of the vote, whereas Ron Paul raises millions of dollars, more money than any Republican candidate out there, and yet he gets a small margin of every primary. I mean, I'm sorry, that cannot just be explained by, older people who don't have the internet. That doesn't make any sense. So, I mean, it seems to me that the primaries were obviously rigged, the caucuses were rigged, and that Ron Paul probably got a lot more of the vote than was let on. So if the primaries and caucuses were stolen and there's nothing we can do about it, then it seems like we, the people, have an obligation to make sure that the delegates that are sent to the convention do all they can to make sure the people are represented. I mean, these delegates are people. They're average people like you and me, that maybe they're more politically minded, but they're people and they're not part of the elite. And these delegates are the ones that are voting for the nominee. Even the delegates that are pledged to vote for McCain, they don't have to vote for McCain in the first round. They can abstain. And I'm sorry, but McCain does not have an excited base. And I could certainly see a McCain pledged or bound delegate having second thoughts and possibly abstaining to turn the convention into a brokered one. And then if the GOP is looking for a new nominee, and so they sort of drop McCain, or they're not backing him as much as they should, and they drop him, that gives Ron Paul supporters an opening again to say, well, look, we got a guy that we know can beat Obama, and we know can actually steal Obama supporters. So there's so much that seems like says that Ron Paul could win the nomination. Plus, even though I know it's unlikely in terms of Ron Paul going into this convention with hardly any delegates, and he's not even been invited, but the fact is there is historical precedent. I mean, Abraham Lincoln had fewer delegates than Ron Paul did, and Abraham Lincoln wound up getting the nomination. Yes, it's unlikely. Yes, it's only happened, I guess, maybe once before, maybe twice, but all I know is of Abraham Lincoln, but it's still possible. So there's historical precedent. There's rumors that the GOP want to drop McCain. We know for a fact that the GOP base is not excited about McCain, and that the huge money machine behind Bush's terms are not behind McCain. We know that Obama is winning in the polls, or is typically winning in the polls, and even when they're tied, they're still saying Obama's going to win. So, there's a lot out there that suggests that we, Ron Paul supporters, have an opportunity. That if we try to go to this convention, if we try to, and I'm encouraging everyone to go to the rally, but go also to the Republican convention and try to reach these delegates. I love the thing that's going on where they're trying to get DVDs in the hands of delegates. Have Ron Paul signs, try to reach as many delegates as possible and convince them about Ron Paul, because then we could win this thing. We really could. I myself, I'm a public preacher, and I wanted to go and actually preach in front of the convention, but I don't know if that's going to happen because I have not been able to raise any money yet. I had a few people that said they were going to send me something, but nothing's come in the mail. So I don't think I'll be able to go to Minneapolis unless I suddenly get a windfall of money. But in any case, anyone who can go should really try to make the Republican National Convention part of their stay there, and in particular trying to focus and center on the delegates. So I just wanted to put that out there to encourage Ron Paul supporters that we shouldn't, just automatically think Ron Paul is not going to win the nomination, because I think there's still a good chance he could. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.